Once in a land filled with turmoil and strife, there lived a young man named Devdatta, whose heart was weighed down by anger and despair. In the same land, Gautam Buddha traveled, teaching peace and enlightenment. Devdatta, hearing of a wise man spreading messages of peace, decided to confront him. Fueled by his skepticism, Devdatta approached Gautam Buddha under a Bodhi tree, where the Buddha meditated. "Why do you sit so calmly when the world is in chaos?" demanded Devdatta, his voice heavy with bitterness. Gautam Buddha opened his eyes and smiled gently. "Because peace starts from within," he replied. Devdatta scoffed. "How can inner peace change the world?" Buddha invited Devdatta to sit with him. Hesitantly, Devdatta sat down. Buddha began to speak of the nature of anger, suffering, and the liberation that comes from understanding and compassion. As the sun set, Devdatta felt a calmness he had never known. He realized that his anger was like a storm cloud, darkening his vision. Gautam Buddha then told him a parable of a lotus flower growing in the mud. "The lotus does not let the mud dirty its beauty. It rises above and blooms. Similarly, we can rise above our troubles and find peace." Moved by these words, Devdatta decided to change his ways, understanding that change begins within oneself. He thanked Gautam Buddha and left, feeling like a burden had been lifted from his heart. From that day on, Devdatta spread the message of peace and understanding, inspired by the wisdom of Gautam Buddha, much like the lotus that rises above the mud.
In a small village shadowed by the uncertainty of life, there lived a young woman named Anila. Her days were spent in toil and her nights in worry, for her family was poor and her father ill. The villagers spoke of a wise sage, Gautam Buddha, who brought light to those in darkness with his profound wisdom. One day, as Gautam Buddha passed through the village, Anila approached him with tears in her eyes. "Great sage, my life is filled with hardship and sorrow. How can I find happiness amidst such despair?" Buddha, with a serene smile, asked her to fetch a handful of mustard seeds, but with one condition: they must come from a house where no one had ever lost a loved one. Filled with hope, Anila went from door to door, but to her dismay, every household had experienced loss. As night fell, Anila returned to Buddha empty-handed but with a newfound understanding. "I have learned that suffering is a part of everyone's life," she said softly. Buddha nodded. "Just as the earth bears the rain, so too must our hearts bear the pains of life. It is in accepting this truth that we find peace." Anila's eyes, once clouded with tears of sorrow, now glistened with tears of gratitude. Buddha's words had opened her heart to a deeper acceptance of life. "Thank you, wise sage," she said. "Your silence on my return spoke louder than any words could have." From that day on, Anila faced life's challenges with a calm spirit, understanding that suffering is a universal experience, and it was this insight that brought her closer to true happiness.
In the ancient kingdom of Sarnath, where traditions ran as deep as the roots of the towering banyan trees, there lived a young man named Jivan. Born to a family of modest means, Jivan's life was an unending cycle of daily toils and societal norms. The rigid caste system of Sarnath dictated every aspect of life, leaving little room for dreams or aspirations. Jivan's days were spent in the fields, laboring under the scorching sun to support his aging parents and younger siblings. The nights were for rest, but not for peace, as his mind wrestled with questions about the meaning of his existence. He often gazed at the stars, wondering if there was more to life than the perpetual struggle for survival. One day, a wandering monk named Asita arrived in Sarnath. Rumors of a man who had attained enlightenment, Gautam Buddha, had spread far and wide, and Asita was one of his disciples. The villagers gathered around Asita, eager to hear the teachings of the Buddha. Jivan, too, found himself among the crowd, drawn by a curiosity he could not explain. As Asita spoke of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, Jivan felt a stirring within him. The teachings resonated with him, awakening a desire to break free from the unseen chains of societal expectations and inner fears. Intrigued by Asita's teachings, Jivan sought him out the next day under the ancient banyan tree at the edge of the village. The tree was revered by the villagers, believed to be the abode of spirits. Jivan found Asita meditating in its shade, exuding an aura of profound peace. "Teach me," Jivan implored, his voice barely above a whisper. Asita opened his eyes, and a gentle smile graced his lips. "What seeks you in the path of enlightenment, Jivan?" he asked. "I seek understanding, freedom from suffering, and truth," Jivan replied, his voice trembling with earnestness. "Then you must be willing to embark on a journey within as much as without," Asita said, gesturing for Jivan to sit beside him. Under the whispering banyan, Asita began to teach Jivan the ways of meditation, mindfulness, and compassion. Jivan learned to observe his thoughts without attachment, to understand the impermanence of life, and to cultivate loving kindness towards all beings. As days turned into weeks, Jivan's perspective on life began to transform. He started to see the beauty in the simplicity of existence, the interconnectedness of all life, and the power of compassion and empathy. Despite his growing understanding, Jivan faced challenges. His family, bound by tradition, could not comprehend his newfound path. "You are abandoning your duties," his father admonished, his voice heavy with disappointment. Jivan's heart ached at his family's inability to understand his quest for a deeper meaning in life. The villagers, too, began to view him with suspicion, whispering that he was straying from the gods and the ways of their ancestors. Torn between his spiritual journey and his love for his family, Jivan grappled with doubt and guilt. He confided in Asita, seeking guidance. "The path to enlightenment is often solitary and misunderstood," Asita said, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of one who had traversed the path. "But remember, Jivan, every lotus grows through mud before it reaches the light." Encouraged by Asita's words, Jivan persevered, delving deeper into his spiritual practices, finding solace in the silent wisdom of the banyan tree. As the months passed, Jivan's spiritual journey deepened. He embraced a life of simplicity, finding joy in the subtle rhythms of nature and the inner peace cultivated through his meditations. However, this transformation did not come without its trials. A severe drought hit Sarnath, bringing with it famine and despair. The villagers, struggling to survive, saw Jivan's detachment from worldly concerns as an affront to their plight. "You sit in contemplation while we suffer," they accused. Jivan felt a deep compassion for his people's suffering, but he knew that returning to his old life was not the answer. He sought to help in practical ways, sharing food and water, yet his heart remained committed to his spiritual path. During this time, a wise sage from a neighboring land visited Sarnath. Hearing of Jivan's quest, the sage sought him out under the banyan tree. "Jivan, true enlightenment is not escaping from the world but understanding its nature and finding peace amidst chaos," the sage advised. This encounter left a profound impact on Jivan, deepening his understanding of the Buddha's teachings. He realized that his journey was not just about personal liberation but also about bringing compassion and understanding to those around him. One evening, as Jivan meditated under the banyan tree, he experienced a profound awakening. The boundaries between himself and the world around him seemed to dissolve, and he felt a deep, interconnected oneness with all of existence. In this state of heightened awareness, Jivan understood the nature of suffering and the path to its cessation. He saw the impermanence of all things and the source of true happiness. It was an experience beyond words, a realization of the ultimate truth. When he emerged from this state, the world seemed different to him. His eyes shone with a calm, inner light, and his presence radiated peace. Jivan's transformation did not go unnoticed. The villagers, who had once scorned him, now sought his wisdom. They found in his words a source of comfort and guidance. Jivan taught them the principles of the Buddha, emphasizing the importance of compassion, mindfulness, and understanding. He helped them see their struggles in a new light, not as burdens but as opportunities for growth and awakening. His family, too, began to understand the change in him. They saw that Jivan's path, though different, was filled with love and a deep sense of purpose. The bond between them, strained for so long, began to heal. Years passed, and Jivan became known as a wise teacher in Sarnath. The banyan tree, under which he had spent countless hours in meditation, became a symbol of wisdom and peace. People from far and wide came to seek Jivan's teachings. He spoke of the impermanence of life, the nature of suffering, and the path to inner peace. He taught that true enlightenment was not an escape from the world, but a deeper engagement with it through understanding and compassion. As an old man, Jivan still sat under the banyan tree, his eyes reflecting the depth of his journey. He had come a long way from the young man full of questions under the starlit sky. His journey had brought him full circle, back to his roots, yet with a profound understanding of life's intricate tapestry. The journey of awakening is like the banyan tree, he would often say. Its roots are deep, its branches vast, and it provides shelter and wisdom to those who seek its shade. And so, the whispering banyan stood, a silent witness to Jivan's remarkable journey from the chains of societal expectations to the liberation of enlightenment, a journey that echoed the timeless teachings of Gautam Buddha. This concludes the story of The Whispering Banyan, a Journey of Awakening. I hope this fictional tale inspired by Gautam Buddha's teachings provides a meaningful reflection on the path to enlightenment and the power of inner transformation.
In the kingdom of Magadha, where the Ganges whispered ancient secrets, there lived a young woman named Kalyani. Her life, marked by the ebb and flow of the river's tides, was a quiet one, shadowed by a deep longing for something more, something beyond the mundane routines of her village life. Kalyani's days were spent on the banks of the Ganges, where she helped her family with fishing and laundry. Despite the beauty of her surroundings, her heart yearned for a deeper understanding of the mysteries of life. One day, as she sat by the river, a group of monks in saffron robes passed by. Their serene demeanor and calm presence struck a chord in her. Among them was a monk whose face radiated peace and wisdom. His name, she learned, was Ananda, a disciple of the great Gautam Buddha. Inspired by this encounter, Kalyani's heart was set ablaze with a desire to seek the truth. Kalyani approached Ananda, her voice trembling with earnestness. "Venerable monk, I seek understanding and peace. Can you guide me on this path?" Ananda, looking into her sincere eyes, saw her potential for deep understanding. "The path of enlightenment is open to all who seek it with a true heart," he replied. He spoke to her of the Buddha's teachings, of the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path. Kalyani listened intently, absorbing every word, as if quenching a thirst she had long endured. Ananda saw in Kalyani a rare determination and offered to teach her meditation. She began to sit by the river each day, diving into the depths of her mind, seeking the pearls of wisdom that lay within. Kalyani's new path was not without its challenges. Her family, bound by tradition, struggled to understand her spiritual quest. "You are deviating from our ways," her father lamented, his brow creased with worry. The villagers, too, whispered about Kalyani's unconventional choices. But despite the external pressures, she remained steadfast, her resolve strengthened by the peace she found in her meditations. As months passed, Kalyani's practice deepened. She began to experience moments of profound insight and tranquility. The river, once just a part of her physical world, became a symbol of the flow of life, of impermanence and constant change. One day, as Kalyani sat in deep meditation, she had a profound realization. She saw her thoughts and emotions, like the river's waters, were in constant flux, yet beneath them lay a deeper stillness, a silence that was unchanging. In this moment of clarity, Kalyani understood the essence of Buddha's teachings on suffering and impermanence. She realized that peace comes not from clinging to the transient, but from understanding and embracing the flow of life. This realization marked a turning point in her journey. Kalyani began to live with a new sense of freedom and ease, her actions infused with compassion and mindfulness. Kalyani's transformation did not go unnoticed. The villagers, who had once judged her, now sought her counsel. Her family, witnessing the profound change in her, began to respect her spiritual journey. She shared her insights with those who came to her, speaking of the beauty of letting go, of finding peace in the present moment, and of the interconnectedness of all beings. Kalyani's teachings, simple yet profound, spread throughout the region. She became known as the Sage of the Ganges, a beacon of wisdom and compassion. Years went by, and Kalyani continued her work, her life a testament to the transformative power of the Buddha's teachings. The banks of the Ganges, where she had once sat in quiet contemplation, became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking peace and understanding. Kalyani, now an elder, spent her days in service to others, her heart full of the joy that comes from living in harmony with the truth. She often said, like the river, life is a journey of constant flow. Find your peace in its currents, and you will find your way. And so, by the banks of the Ganges, the river of silence, Kalyani's journey came full circle. From a seeker of truth to a teacher of wisdom, her life echoed the eternal teachings of Gautam Buddha, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and inner peace. This concludes The River of Silence, a tale of compassion and wisdom. This story, inspired by the teachings and life of Gautam Buddha, is a fictional portrayal of the transformative journey of a seeker towards enlightenment and inner peace.
In the prosperous city of Kapilavastu, there lived a young prince named Aravinda. Despite his royal privileges and luxurious life, Aravinda was restless. He felt a deep sense of dissatisfaction and a longing for something more meaningful than the opulent walls of his palace could offer. Aravinda's heart yearned for understanding the deeper truths of life. He often gazed at the stars, pondering over the mysteries of existence. His father, the king, worried about his son's disinterest in worldly affairs and urged him to focus on his royal duties. One day, while riding through the city, Aravinda encountered an old monk, his face serene, his eyes reflecting a profound inner peace. This monk was a disciple of Gautam Buddha, traveling across the land to spread the Buddha's teachings. Curious and intrigued, Aravinda invited the monk to the palace. They talked for hours, and the monk shared the teachings of the Buddha, speaking of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. This encounter was a turning point for Aravinda. He realized that his restlessness stemmed from a deep-seated desire to understand the nature of suffering and to find a way to transcend it. With his father's reluctant blessing, Aravinda left the palace, renouncing his princely life to seek enlightenment. He traveled far and wide, meeting various sages and delving into different philosophies and practices. Despite his earnest efforts, true understanding eluded him. He practiced severe asceticism, hoping to find enlightenment through physical discipline, but this only led to more confusion and suffering. In a moment of despair, Aravinda remembered the monk's words about the middle way, a path of balance rather than extremes. He realized that neither luxury nor severe asceticism was the answer. Aravinda sat under a peepal tree, meditating deeply, determined to find the answers he sought. As the night deepened, his mind cleared, and he experienced a profound awakening. He saw the interconnectedness of all life, the impermanence of the world, and the source of true happiness. This awakening transformed Aravinda. He became a teacher, sharing his insights and experiences. He spoke of the middle way, the importance of compassion, mindfulness, and understanding the nature of desire and suffering. Aravinda's teachings resonated with many. People from all walks of life were drawn to his wisdom. His approach, grounded in balance and compassion, offered a practical path to inner peace and enlightenment. He traveled across the land, spreading the light of Dharma, his teachings a beacon to those lost in the darkness of ignorance and suffering. His journey inspired countless others to embark on their own paths of discovery and transformation. Years passed, and Aravinda's message continued to spread. He established a community of followers dedicated to practicing and preserving the teachings of the Buddha. As an elder, Aravinda often reflected on his journey from a restless prince to an enlightened teacher. He had found the answers he sought not in the external world but within the depths of his own being. "The greatest journey is the journey within," he would say. "It is there that the light of Dharma shines brightest, guiding us to true peace and liberation." And so, in the heart of Kapilavastu, Aravinda's legacy continued, a testament to the timeless wisdom of the Buddha and the transformative power of a seeker's journey towards enlightenment. This concludes The Light of Dharma, a tale of transformation. This story, while fictional, is inspired by the profound teachings of Gautam Buddha and reflects the universal quest for understanding, inner peace, and spiritual awakening.
In a small village nestled in the lush valleys of ancient India, the lives of its inhabitants were overshadowed by hardship and sorrow. Among them lived a young girl named Mira, whose spirit was as bright as the sun but weighed down by the struggles of her daily life. Myra's curiosity about the world was insatiable, yet she was confined by the boundaries of her small village. Her heart ached to understand the reasons behind the suffering she saw around her. One day, a wandering sage named Dara arrived in the village. He was a disciple of Gautam Buddha and carried with him an air of tranquility and wisdom. Mira watched as people gathered around Dara, drawn by his peaceful presence and profound insights. Mira approached Dara, her eyes brimming with unspoken questions. "Why is there so much suffering?" she asked. Dara, looking into her earnest eyes, saw a soul searching for answers. "Come with me," he said, leading her to a small garden at the edge of the village. This garden holds more than just flowers and trees, it holds lessons about life. In the garden, Dara began to teach Mira about the nature of suffering and the path to overcoming it. He showed her the blooming flowers, explaining how they arose from the dirt and mud, symbols of beauty and purity emerging from darkness. He pointed to the falling leaves, teaching her about impermanence and the constant cycle of life and death. "Just like these leaves, our lives are transient. Attachment to the impermanent brings suffering," he explained. Mira listened, her mind absorbing the teachings like a sponge. The garden, with its simple yet profound beauty, became her classroom, and Dara, her guide to understanding the deeper truths of existence. As days turned into weeks, Myra's understanding deepened. She learned the importance of compassion, kindness, and empathy. Dara taught her meditation, guiding her to look within and find peace in the silence of her own being. Mira began to see the world differently. She understood that suffering was a part of life, but how one responded to it made all the difference. She started to help her fellow villagers, sharing with them the lessons she learned, becoming a beacon of hope and kindness in her community. Myra's journey of inner discovery brought a profound change in her. She realized that true happiness and peace come from within and that wisdom is like a seed that blooms in the garden of a quiet mind. She became known as Mira of the Garden, a wise soul who brought light to the lives of those around her. Her words, simple yet deep, reflected the teachings of Gautam Buddha, and her life became an embodiment of his path. Years passed, and Myra's wisdom grew. The garden where she first learned the truths of life became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking solace and understanding. Myra's teachings, like the flowers in the garden, spread far and wide, touching the hearts of many. She taught that in the heart of suffering lies the seed of enlightenment and that compassion is the water that nourishes it. And so, in the village that was once overshadowed by sorrows, stood the Garden of Wisdom, a testament to the transformative journey of a young girl who sought answers and found enlightenment. Her story, inspired by the teachings of Gautam Buddha, continued to inspire generations, reminding all that the journey to enlightenment begins within. This concludes The Garden of Wisdom, a story of inner discovery. This tale, while fictional, draws upon the timeless teachings of Gautam Buddha, portraying a journey of spiritual awakening and the transformative power of compassion and wisdom.
In a time long ago, nestled between the towering peaks of the Himalayas, there was a small village where life flowed as gently as the mountain streams. In this village lived a young man named Bodhin, known for his contemplative nature and deep thoughtfulness. Bodhin was fascinated by the mysteries of the mind and the teachings of the Buddha. He longed to understand the true nature of reality, and to find a path to inner peace. His quest for knowledge led him to leave his village and journey towards the fabled mountain of mindfulness, a place said to hold the secrets to enlightenment. Bodhin's journey was arduous, filled with challenges both physical and mental. As he climbed the steep paths, he encountered various sages and hermits who shared their wisdom and teachings with him. Each encounter brought Bodhin closer to understanding the Buddha's teachings, yet something was still missing. The higher he climbed, the more he realized that the journey to enlightenment was not just about acquiring knowledge, but about experiencing and understanding the nature of his own mind. Near the summit, Bodhin discovered a secluded cave. It was here, in the silence and solitude of the cave, that he decided to meditate, to delve deep into his own consciousness. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Bodhin meditated on the nature of suffering, the impermanence of life, and the interconnectedness of all beings. In the stillness of the cave, he began to experience moments of profound insight and clarity. One day, as Bodhin sat in deep meditation, he had a profound realization. He saw his thoughts and emotions rise and fall like the waves of the ocean, but beneath them, there was a deep, unchanging stillness. He understood that this stillness, this awareness, was his true nature. This realization brought a sense of immense peace and liberation. Bodhin understood that the mountain he sought to conquer was not a physical one, but the mountain of his own mind. With a heart full of insight and peace, Bodhin descended the mountain. He returned to his village, not as a seeker, but as a guide ready to share his understanding and insights with others. He spoke to the villagers of the importance of mindfulness, of being present in the moment, and of observing one's thoughts and emotions without attachment. He taught them meditation and how to find peace in the simplicity of daily life. Bodhin's teachings spread beyond his village, touching the lives of many. He became known as Bodhin of the Mountain, a wise teacher whose insights came from the heart of experience. The mountain of mindfulness, once a physical destination, became a symbol of the journey each person must undertake to understand their own mind and find peace. Bodhin's journey reminded all that enlightenment is not found at the top of a distant mountain, but within the depths of one's own consciousness. And so, in the shadow of the Himalayas, the teachings of Bodhin continued to inspire, a testament to the timeless wisdom of the Buddha and the transformative power of mindfulness and self-awareness. This concludes The Mountain of Mindfulness, a Journey of Insight. This story, while fictional, draws upon the core principles of Gautam Buddha's teachings, emphasizing the importance of mindfulness, meditation, and the journey within for spiritual awakening and peace.
In the ancient land of Bharata, there lived a young weaver named Vishaka. Her fingers were skilled at the loom, but her heart yearned for a deeper understanding of the world. Vishaka's dreams were filled with visions of faraway lands and profound wisdom, yet her reality was confined to the small village where she lived. One night, Vishaka dreamt of a radiant figure who spoke of the wheel of Dharma, the path to enlightenment. This dream ignited a flame within her, sparking a relentless desire to seek the truth behind her visions. Determined to find meaning in her dream, Vishaka set out on a journey, leaving behind her loom and her village. Her quest led her through dense forests, over rugged mountains, and across vast plains. Along the way, she met many teachers and seekers, each sharing their own interpretations of the path to enlightenment. Vishaka listened and learned but found that the answers she sought seemed just beyond her grasp. The more she learned, the more she realized how much she did not know. Vishaka's journey brought her to a valley shrouded in mist and silence. It was said that this was the Valley of Shadows, where one faced their deepest fears and doubts. Here, Vishaka confronted the uncertainties and sorrows of her own heart. In the solitude of the valley, Vishaka meditated for days. She faced her fears, her doubts, and her past. Through this intense period of introspection, she began to understand the impermanent nature of her struggles and the illusory nature of her fears. Emerging from the Valley of Shadows, Vishaka found herself by a serene river, its waters clear and calm. Here, she encountered an old monk named Arya, a disciple of Gautam Buddha. Arya spoke to her about the nature of reality, the mind's illusions, and the path to true freedom. Vishaka spent months by the river, learning from Arya. She delved deep into the teachings of the Buddha, practicing mindfulness and compassion. The river, with its constant flow yet unchanging essence, became a symbol of her own journey. One evening, as the sun set over the river, Vishaka sat in deep meditation. In this moment of profound stillness, she experienced an awakening. She saw the interconnectedness of all life, the transient nature of existence, and the peace that comes from understanding and acceptance. This awakening marked a turning point in Vishaka's journey. She had found the enlightenment she sought, not in the dreams that had set her on her path, but in the journey itself and the wisdom gained along the way. With a heart full of insight, Vishaka returned to her village. She brought back not only her newfound wisdom but also a deeper sense of compassion and empathy for her fellow villagers. Vishaka shared her experiences, teaching the villagers about the Buddha's path. She spoke of the impermanence of life, the importance of living in the present moment, and the power of compassion and mindfulness. As she wove at her loom, her patterns reflected the journey she had undertaken, a tapestry of life's complexity, beauty, and depth. Years passed, and Vishaka's story became a legend in her village and beyond. The loom where she once wove fabrics now wove stories and teachings, inspiring all those who heard them. The weaver of dreams, as she came to be known, left a legacy of wisdom and enlightenment, a testament to the transformative power of the journey within. Her life, once a simple tapestry of village routine, had become a rich fabric of spiritual discovery, woven with the threads of her experiences and insights. And so, in a small village in Bharata, the teachings of Vishaka, inspired by the profound wisdom of Gautam Buddha, continue to enlighten and inspire, reminding everyone that the path to enlightenment is a journey of the heart and mind, a journey that weaves the fabric of our dreams into the tapestry of reality.
In the ancient city of Vaishali, there was a young man named Aditya, known for his insatiable thirst for knowledge and his quest for truth. Aditya was fascinated by the teachings of various philosophers and sages, but he found that mere intellectual understanding did not quench his inner thirst. One evening, during a festival of lanterns, Aditya encountered a monk who spoke of Gautam Buddha's path to enlightenment. The monk's words were like a spark that lit a flame in Aditya's heart. He decided to embark on a journey to seek the light of true understanding. Aditya traveled far and wide, seeking teachers and sages who could illuminate the path of enlightenment for him. He studied sacred texts and engaged in debates with scholars. Yet, with every answer, more questions arose, and the light of understanding seemed ever elusive. In his travels, Aditya arrived at a forest hermitage where he met an old sage named Vimla. Vimla taught him about the Buddha's middle way, a path of balance avoiding the extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. Under Vimla's guidance, Aditya began to practice meditation and mindfulness. He learned to observe his thoughts and emotions without attachment, understanding their transient nature. As days turned into weeks, a transformation began to take place within Aditya. The relentless pursuit of intellectual knowledge gave way to a deeper, experiential understanding. He realized that true wisdom was like a flame that had to be kindled within one's own heart. One night, as Aditya meditated under the stars, he experienced a profound awakening. He saw the interconnectedness of all life, the illusion of the ego, and the root of suffering. In this moment of clarity, he understood the Buddha's teachings at a deep, experiential level. This realization brought a profound sense of peace and liberation. Aditya saw that the light of understanding he had been seeking outside was within him all along. With a newfound sense of purpose, Aditya returned to Vaishali. He became a teacher, sharing his insights and experiences with all who sought his guidance. He spoke of the importance of inner transformation, the practice of mindfulness, and the path to true happiness. Aditya's teachings, like the lanterns of the festival that had inspired his journey, lit the path for many in the darkness of ignorance and suffering. Years passed, and Aditya's reputation as a wise and compassionate teacher grew. He was known as the lantern bearer, a symbol of the light of understanding that can illuminate the path of enlightenment for all. The flame he kindled within himself and in others continued to burn brightly, a beacon of hope and wisdom. His journey from a seeker of knowledge to a bearer of enlightenment inspired generations, reminding them that the flame of understanding, once lit, can dispel the darkness of ignorance and lead the way to inner peace and liberation.